Guru Nation, welcome back to the Clinical Trials Guru. I'm at DIA. I'm just interviewing tons of people that I meet. Interesting conversations we're having. You got to get out to more conferences if you can. I ran into Melanie. Melanie is a viewer, listener of the podcast.
Listener, yes.
Thank you very much, Melanie. So Melanie, we're going to get into her career, how she got started, because a lot of you people watching want to break into the industry. And then we're going to talk about something very important and under-discussed in clinical research, and it's quality of life for CRAs. So first, let's meet Melanie. Melanie, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
So who are you, and how did you get started in clinical research?
So I am an associate director right now in our site partnerships group at Covance. I started my career in a phase 1 bioequivalence, bioavailability, clinical research unit, got my training there, very good training there. I went on, and I think you'll appreciate this, applied for multiple positions as a CRA. I did not give up. I kept on applying, learning, finally broke into the industry. I've worked for small CROs, larger CROs. Most recently, a few years back, started my career at Covance as a senior CRA after I had had a few positions there.
One of the best companies for quality of life and those kind of things from my own anecdotal experiences.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I've managed CRAs at Covance since then. And so beginning of my career as a CRA, and then I moved up through the ranks into different areas within Covance, so I can attest also that there's a lot of career opportunities beyond CRA. So it's a great entry point and starting point for a career.
Now let's unpack how you broke in, because we kind of glossed over that. So you said you finally got in.
Yep.
So that means it was not easy.
It was not. It was not, unless you're one of the lucky people that happen to know someone. So again, multiple applications, feedback from people who were nice enough to give me that feedback, coaching and guidance, really explaining to me what the role was, given the travel that's involved in it. So I just was persistent in my effort to find something, and eventually really just telling someone, please give me a chance, and I can do it, and luckily they did. I started in a small CRO. Back then, they didn't have CRA schools, so it was really on my own. And that's what I did. It took probably a little more time than if I would have had a CRA school to go to.
It's so much easier these days to get in.
It is. So I did that, learned in a small organization where there was a lot of support, and then moved on to some of the larger organizations and like Covance. So
very good. Now, and then you're seeing that there's opportunity. Once you're in, the hardest part's getting in, and where you get in is not going to be where you finish your career. So it's just important to get started, and then you'll see which doors open and where you want to go. I mean, you can go, like right now, you can do a lot of things.
Yeah,
right?
You can go a lot of places. So within our organization, for example, I've been on the operations side, which for quite a while, managing CRAs. I've worked in our flexible solutions model, so where we have embedded programs with clients. And now I'm in feasibility, recruitment, and engagement in site partnerships. So really spanning across the organization. We're not locked into one thing as a CRA. I think the key thing is do a good job, and those doors will open for you. Recognize that part of that job is travel. So it's really important to recognize that, and do your best job, and doors will open. So.
Doors will open. Now let's talk about quality of life. We're going to talk site networks maybe a year from now, because it's very early and it's still evolving.
Yes.
So everyone just has opinions now. We don't want to really scare people. I've done a lot of videos on site networks earlier today anyways. Let's talk about quality of life for CRAs. So, I mean, where do we even start? Because you just said, okay, they travel a lot. I mean, how do you create quality of life with such a grueling job?
Right. I think one of the things is, number one, to recognize what the job is. Go in with an understanding that the job does entail travel, whether it's regional or, and what does regional mean for your company? If that's important to you, you need to ask those questions. What does local mean? What's a local visit? What's a regional visit? Have the sponsor or CRO define that for you early on in the process, I think, is very important. And then really know your workload and share it with your manager. Don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough work, let it be known. These are very important things for the organization, that everyone is at a certain, level of their workload. It's what keeps things moving in the machine. So be honest, be transparent with your manager. Hopefully you have a manager that is listening and that can adjust your workload up or down as needed. I think Covance does a really good job at that.
All the stuff I've heard I do informal polls of when our own CRAs come to our sites. I ask them, many have worked for everybody. And I say, who's your favorite? Usually it's Covance is among the top. And there's some up towards the bottom. We won't get into that, but it's important for the CROs because this is retention, and training new staff is costly, right?
And so it's really important. There's two things to recognize, I think, and it's one, and Covance recognizes them both. One is that at the end of the day, it's a person, and it is it's quite a heavy role that requires a lot of you, and so there is a possibility for burnout. So recognizing that there's a person there and keeping the workload and the travel that goes with it in check, and then also recognizing that I'm losing my train of thought. Number one, there's a person, and number two, yes, as you were saying, retention, and that we don't want to lose these people. The organization hires talented people, invests in them, trains them. We don't want to lose them. So oftentimes what I see within Covance, the managers are listening. They don't want to lose you. Do you still have to do the job at the end of the day? Yes, but there's a balance to be struck, and that's why I encourage the open dialogue with the managers so that you're finding the right balance there. And I can say personally, I did it with a baby at home.
Wow.
That was the height of my CRA career, was with a little baby at home. So it's doable. It's doable. Yeah.
And it's more important to find the CRO that prioritizes quality of life. I mean, it sounds like a soft skill to talk about, but it's actually, it affects the bottom line of the business. I have so many people on Instagram that are CRAs message me, hey, I've been a CRA here for 2 years, but it sucks. Not Covance. They're not talking about Covance. What do I do? And I say, look, you hit that magical number. You can go anywhere. Somebody that's gonna appreciate you and not take advantage of you. So that's why you see a lot of turnover in the industry, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and I have a big belief. Again, as I said, do your best. Keep the dialogue open. If you can't do something, if it's too much, you keep that dialogue open with your manager. Do your best, and the career possibilities are endless. So
what if you get stuck with a bad manager? It's happened to me before.
I've never had one. No, it's difficult to say because I can say I have been blessed with very good managers, very good leadership.
But the people watching.
Yeah, so the people watching.
Not all of them are that lucky. Some are dealing with some tyrants right now.
Yeah, some are dealing with tyrants. So there's two things that I can say to that. And if it's feasible, if it's manageable, and there's someone to speak to, if the manager change is possible, and it isn't always, unfortunately, but those may be some legitimate things that you need to bring up, in your organization. I would encourage anyone to follow the appropriate communication pathway if it's HR or another manager, someone that you confide in. Sometimes getting a mentor, somebody else to offset the manager.
Good advice.
Getting a mentor, somebody that you can speak confidentially to that can give you good advice.
Usually like a coworker, right?
Yeah, a coworker. If your company has a mentoring program, Covance has a mentoring program. I've always participated and had mentors that I can, It's another piece of advice. Get a mentor. Everyone should have a mentor.
Another good reason for for an ACRB, right?
Yeah,
Like those
exactly.
kind of
But that person can be a sounding board for you. And give you advice as well. So it might make it easier to deal with your manager. Maybe your manager has a different perspective that you're not thinking of, that if you understood it would make the relationship
good
better.
advice.
So that's that. And then there's also the other piece of recognizing when an organization is not a match for
That's
you.
right.
And, sometimes that unfortunately just is the case, is that it's not right for you.
Unfortunately.
And
Not everyone's Covance. Apply to Covance if you're in that situation,
Covance.
right? You
Yeah.
guys always want more CRAs.
We do.
right?
We do. We're always looking for CRAs, enthusiastic people who want to be CRAs.
And you'll be a lot of people's mentors. If we want, we can put the LinkedIn
Yes.
URL to you
Sure.
underneath this video, and you're going to have tons of people reaching out. Melanie,
Great.
I need a mentor.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
It's
everybody.
really
Thank you,
nice.
Melanie. I appreciate
you.
it. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening, and we'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.